Hello again. Today we're going to talk about another aspect of the QuickHIT exercise protocol. We're going to talk about the eccentric and concentric portions of a repetition as you're performing isokinetic exercise. What does that mean? Well, the eccentric portion is effectively where your muscles are stretching. Commonly it would be what would be considered the lowering portion of the movement, but your muscles are stretching out during the eccentric. The concentric portion is where your muscle is contracting, shortening. It's effectively when you would be lifting a load. Let's take an example of two exercises I'm sure you'll be familiar with from your QuickHIT workouts. Firstly, the chest press. The eccentric portion is where you're controlling the machine, pushing you back, and you're stretching out the muscles of your chest and the backs of your arms. The concentric portion is where you're pushing against the machine and the muscles are flexing, contracting, shortening. Another exercise you'll do, the row. On this one, the eccentric starts back here and you're being stretched out. Your muscles are stretching as you resist the machine pulling you away. And then you'll pull towards you, and that's the concentric portion. Again, this time your muscles are shortening, they're contracting as you pull the machine toward you. There are benefits to both portions of that contraction, the stretch and the contraction. Let's start with the eccentric. This is where you're resisting the machine as best you can. It's where the muscles are stretched and lengthened. It's similar to lowering a weight. Now, the eccentric causes greater gains in muscle fiber length. So it's effectively as a stimulus, as your muscles adapt to the routine and adapt to your exercises, the muscle fibers are getting longer, they're becoming lengthened. And they're being strengthened in what's called the distal region. It's the region furthest away from their insertion. So if we take the biceps as an example, doing the eccentric is helping to lengthen muscle fibers and strengthen the area toward the insertion down here of the tendon down here. So the muscle down at this part of the area. It stimulates more growth, the eccentric. The eccentric stimulates more growth than the concentric portion. And you're stronger as you perform the eccentric when compared to the concentric. You're about 30% stronger. You can lower more than you can contract. And that's good to know because you're stronger as you lower or you resist the machine. And the QuickHIT machine actually allows you to work with this extra 30% of strength you have. Whereas you're more efficient and more effective using the QuickHIT machine. Have a look at the screen one time and see how much more you can produce as you're doing the eccentric. Eccentric also is like resistive stretching. It enhances your flexibility, which it also will create positive adaptations, not only for your muscles, but also for your tendons, your connective tissue, and your bone strength. The efficiency of your QuickHIT eccentrics are a major reason that you only need to train twice a week at most, and for most people, once a week is plenty. Let's go on and look at the concentric portion of a repetition now. And this is where your muscle is producing enough force to contract and shorten. It's similar to lifting a weight. Now, the difference between the concentric in terms of the results it produces compared to the eccentric is it causes greater gains in muscle fiber diameter. So whereas the eccentric caused greater lengthening, the concentric creates greater fiber diameter, so sort of outward swelling in the muscle tissue. And it causes growth in the middle region of the muscle, right in the center of it. Concentrics also use more energy. They demand more energy of the body. It takes more energy to lift, to contract than it does to lower, which means more glucose emptying. More glucose gets used, more glucose is drawn out of the blood, and more glucose gets emptied from your muscle tissue, which also makes the concentric portion more metabolically demanding. It's really important for your metabolic health and can help with conditions like diabetes. So Just remember, as you're performing moving exercise at QuickHIT, you have the eccentric, the lengthening portion, and the concentric, and both of them have great benefits to your physiology.